Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we are live. We are live.
No, can you hear me?
No, we are live, sir. Yeah.
I know, but in the
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
or in the show, everyone can see
Sir,
and hear you. Okay, cool.
we can hear you. Just 1 second.
Okay, one.
Please. No talking. No talking, please.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Dallas. And hello, everyone. Good evening. And um, after several months of like a hard work and, that is like all the campaigning efforts, and finally we are here. We finally reached the final decision-making day. And so all the polls have probably closed, and then we are waiting for all the results, like one by one each state, and that's we are actually coming on. So it is exciting moment for everyone, and all Americans have delivered their valuable votes for the final verdict to choose that who their president is going to be for the next 4 years. So being said that, like that we can either choose, it's up to you. So that's what we are here for discussing, and several the guests are going to be joining me in contributing their thoughts, and like what we have been through and what is going to happen, what expectations are there, and or how we are going to decide and what issues are going to be there. So it is a great pleasure to just have everyone here. So we will be pretty soon, the verdict is going to be out, who is going to be our next leader, either President Mr. Donald Trump or former Vice President Joe Biden. So let me invite my panelists today, so that so I have several guests, and also my co-moderator, Mr. Surya Vidyala, is here, and so he's going to be also talking to us with the several issues. And let me invite Mr. Rajesh Agni, and then it's pleasure to have you. And we also have Sandhya with me, and Mr. Doshan as well. So Dr. Krishna is going to be also commenting or helping us with the several things that what we are going to do. So welcome everyone. How is everybody doing? So how is it look like? How is the
Anuji,
yes, sir.
please check with all the people completely shut their cell phones or anything. There is a feedback.
Okay, so please do turn off all this,
Yes.
the looping cell phones, that if you have anything
Yeah.
on,
If they
because I
yes.
think it will be, and when you're
Yes.
not talking, that will be great if you can just mute your microphone as well. That'll be great.
Yes.
So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining. So let me start with Mr. Rajesh. So give me a little introduction of yourself, and then let us tell me that, how do you feel? Like, what is going on today? So what do you think is going to happen?
So, first of all, namaste to you, Anuji, and namaste to Krishna ji, and to rest of our panelists. It's a privilege to be with you, at this session.
Absolutely.
Given the excitement that's out there.
Right.
So let me just quickly introduce myself. I'm Rajesh Agni. The last name means fire, although it's spelled with Y at the end. So I'm based in Austin, Texas. And I'm a proud American Hindu. So clearly I'm an American first and then Hindu second. And so, if I look at my current focus, it is to strengthen the bonds between the Americans and the Indians, or you could say United States and India. And then the second piece is to help build a resurgent India or resurgent Bharat. Right? So that's my quick introduction, Anuji.
Absolutely. That's a pleasure having you, sir. And Sandhya, if you could please just quickly introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. And likewise, it's my privilege to be with all of you. So appreciate the invitation. I'm Sandhya Irupuganti, and I have actually lived in the US for over half my life. I actually came to this country when I was 6, and then I went back for my high school and college. So I have a very mixed and I would say rich upbringing of both our Hindu culture and what it
Mm-hmm.
means to be an Indian in India, as
Mm-hmm.
well as what it means to be here as
Right.
an American citizen of Indian and Hindu heritage. And I believe that Indian Americans have a very important role
Mm-hmm.
that we are not currently playing, but we should get actively engaged and
Mm-hmm.
be more civic minded. And I think this election really represents the dichotomy in the country today
Mm-hmm.
of what America was built on and what where America is trending, and it will be interesting to see where it ends up.
Absolutely. I think we're all excited because I think that we're not too far away from finding out. Let's, we will definitely talk about that as we go. So let me introduce Mr. Doshan. So how about just, giving a little short intro of yours and let us
Right.
know about yourself.
Sure. Hello, everybody, and namaste. My name is Dushyant Reddy, and I'm also from Austin, Texas. I've been in the US for almost 20 years now,
Wow.
and casted my vote already. Last in 2016, casted my vote recently, and pretty excited for the results. I'm an IT professional, and I feel that most of the young crowd kind of shy away from the politics and the political
Yes. Yes.
systems. We feel that bringing them in is my goal, trying to spread the knowledge and trying to bring them in and play an important role and then make a difference. That would be my end goal to. And there are a lot of things, but that would be my primary.
Yes, absolutely. I agree because, like most of the time that, I would like to stay away from the politics is what most of the young crowd that nowadays that, thinks. But more they involved is the better it gets. That probably that's the message that we are going to pass it on probably with the difference that it's going to make from this election. So, Mr. Surya, please do give a short intro of yourself and and thank you so much for helping me today. That it's a pleasure having you with me.
Yeah, this is Surya Vidyala here. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm on my own always, more than for 3+ decades. And also, I'm a motivational speaker, an inspirator, and a mentor and a guide too. Uh, and this is very, very, very super excited. In fact, Mr. Krishnagar, I know him for almost more than a decade. He's a very, very fine human being. He's one of the greatest social worker which I know in entire DFW. What the services he's doing and what he's bringing to the community and the entire American system is quite amazing. And in fact, we were talking about how we can, and we are super, super, super excited for the elections and everything what we are doing. And of course, I'm for the Trump. That's it. Always, I'm for the Trump.
Absolutely.
I believe in the principles. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the what is the right for the country because the lot of what is happening for more than I lived in Dubai for 20 years. In fact, I know the other part of the world how it is. Even during the Ronald Reagan, he is my hero. From those days till today, I'm a Republican. And the principles we stand for the greatest country on the planet, which is United States. India is our Janma Bhoomi and America is the Karma Bhoomi. And what we can do for this country, that is what always I talk about. The smaller issues, it doesn't matter, economy, H4, H1, these are all the very comparatively the major issue what is going on, the China, the jihad, or whatever, many other things are there, which I don't want to elaborately talk on that. That is what I'm excited. Trump, the biggest one is my favorite because Trump is not a politician. He is a hardcore entrepreneur. He know how to, what is good for the country, what is good for the globe. That is what we're very much I'm excited. I'm very glad to be in the participation in this debate. Definitely will bring something good to the society and what we can do for the Americans. This is my assurance and promise to the society what we can do in our lives. And thank you for all participating in that. And again, namaskar from my side.
That is a great statement, and also like so the loyalty is definitely one of the things that we all have to have for what we believe in, and it definitely makes a huge difference when it comes to making a decision. That's what I think. Mr. Rajesh, let me ask you that like according to what we heard that Trump government, as soon as they came, then they brought a big change, and they actually done so many of the things that they promised. So what do you think that are we satisfied with all the results that we have already received so far?
Yeah, it's a good question, Anuji. My take on this question, right, and I'll keep it sort of concise,
Sure.
is I looked at it in terms of the macro issues or the basic issues, right?
Right.
And what I mean by that is, if the first one is clearly security, right? And within security, I have sort of three areas that I think are important to pretty much all of us, whether we are American Hindus, whether we are regular mainstream Americans. So within security, law enforcement, border control, and terrorism. Okay, so security with those three areas, clearly is a big factor in my mind.
Right.
The second one is economy, that includes regulations, taxes, and so on. The third
Sure.
one, clearly is healthcare. Right, we all need affordable healthcare.
Yes, absolutely.
The fourth one is immigration, and I'm not saying so much, from an Indian standpoint, which I'll talk about later. This is more around making sure we have the right people coming to our country, right? So that's why I call immigration as the fourth macro issue, Anuji. The fifth one in my mind is foreign policy, right? In terms of, let's say our engagement with Middle East, engagement with Europe, engagement with major countries like India, and so on.
Right.
And then the fifth one is clearly, which is on the top of our minds, is how did the Trump administration do, with this latest challenge, which I boldly call it Wuhan virus. Okay, I'm not going to sort of dance around it. It's Wuhan virus. I believe China had a significant role to play in it.
Right.
And so, based on those six macro issues, Anuji, my take is that on the first five that I mentioned, the Trump administration has really delivered, to what they set out to do. In terms of the last one, the Wuhan virus or the COVID-19 kind of management, I believe that overall, President Trump did a fairly decent job, in terms of a balancing act to keep the economy going, casualties, as minimal as he could. Now, yes, granted, there could be, there could have been, let's say, refining in terms of, social distancing and masks and so on, in terms of a better messaging, better role modeling. But when I look at all these six issues that I mentioned and, sort of try to grade how President Trump and Republicans did, overall, I would say I would give them at least a B+, right? And maybe an A. So that's my take, Anuji, on the macro issues.
Okay, so I'm going to comment on the end. So let me ask the same question to Mr. Doshan. So what do you think that are we satisfied with all the the results that they have been delivered?
Yes, absolutely. But let me give you a little perspective on how I perceive it as. So why it resonates better with the young crowd and guys like me, because we are aware of the political correctness in the system.
Okay.
So in today's system, everybody wants to be clean and tidy and just wear touch-free clothes and just talk the most eloquent language and get away with it.
Right.
They don't want to give you straight. When I first saw him as a 16th person sitting in a debate before presidential bid, he was a straight shooter. He said, "This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to be." Sometimes he comes out very aggressive, but it's okay. A president is not a magician who's going to have a magic wand and he wave and all the problems are going to go away. Right. He will tell you what I can solve, what I can't solve, how it is, If there's a problem, if this is what it is, then this is what it is. If there's some terrorism issues here in this country, it is. We can't say, oh no, don't call them terrorists. They're just, there are some kind of people who are lost their something, PAP, and you just need to bring them back. No, what is what? And like people who do not come with proper paperwork are illegal, but they want to put that word undocumented on that. Good for you. I mean, you can put all those sugar coatings on all the things that should be called out openly. You're going to sugar them all. But with Trump, he said, he gave it straight. No, what it is, and he did it all and for his 4 years time, he did all these things without going to war with any country, not a single country. He brought a lot of troops back. And the problem with today's young crowd is they're very emotional and they don't see the policies, the action that happens inside the Senate. They just pay attention to the words that come out of his mouth. But
yeah, I mean that is okay to just because there's sometimes that it's a personal opinion, and also how the perspective, like how they look at it also, and then all the news that we hear or what we see may not be the accurate one. There are human errors and absolutely technical, so Sandhya, do you have any comments on that one before I make do you also think that, or do you have a different view about this one?
Oh, I am definitely in the minority here. And it's very interesting because I think sometimes what Indians do, we tend to be a very conservative society that likes to play it safe. And that's what I meant when I say we need to be more civic minded. We came to this country for the opportunity. I don't believe anyone came with a lot of wealth. We came for the opportunity. We came to take advantage of what this country has to offer. This country was built on the backs of immigrants. Except for Native American, every person is either a first-generation immigrant or a descendant of an immigrant.
Right.
So for us to say that we need to close the borders and we need to just tighten it and make it all about us, that is not what this country is based on. This country fought against oppression. It fought against the oppression of the British. And unfortunately, I think sometimes, and it's understandable, but we tend to want to preserve what is ours, look after ourselves, look after our children, and not worry about the broader. And so to say that, there is more racial inequality now, there is more racism, and for us to think that racism is not targeted towards brown Americans, that is delusional, because it is there. And I'm probably the one who's been in America the longest of this panel. So that racism is there, and half the country is fighting against it. What President Trump has done is incite violence and negativity and, a selfish attitude towards, we're going to, the difference, the disparity between the haves and have-nots has increased. And for anyone to think that any one section of the population is going to do better than when everyone doesn't have a foundation to work off of, that is not going to work. You cannot.
So you are saying
democracy.
that you whatever that was promised was not delivered according to you, so that that needs to be.
I don't know that Trump really delivered anything. He has continued to build his wealth throughout these 4 years. Some of what he has done and is doing is illegal. So, I definitely disagree.
So what do you think that? What do you think the difference? I mean, the improvement has to be done. What needed to be? What kind of improvements, expectations do you have?
We need people. We need people who understand infrastructure. We cannot tear down total infrastructures, whether it's financial safety measures. You cannot tear down everything that is there in the government and say that this country is going to continue to prevail and prosper. That does not happen. You need people who understand. This is not about being a Republican or a Democrat. It's about understanding what it takes to
The
run
basic
a
needs
country
and the
and
good.
run a government.
Okay, well, thank you. Welcome, Shobha, and it's a pleasure to have you. So actually, the question was, and then I was asking everyone that so far that all the promises that have been made by Trump government, has it been delivered, or are you satisfied with it? So quickly, like in few words, if you could just answer that.
Oh, thank you, Anu. I'm glad to be here. And
Absolutely.
I listened with interest. And hello to all the panelists, esteemed panelists here. And I had a chance to listen to the last previous speaker. With all due respect, I voted Democrat in 2016. And after that, I've been watching President Trump rather closely. And this is a president who delivers for the people of America. And I want to also state that I'm an immigrant, okay? I'm a brown immigrant. And I know America welcomes immigrants. But, and I want to start off there because what President Trump says is, please don't let illegal immigrants in. He's not saying stop all immigration for now. H-1 visa holders may be thinking that got stopped, but it's purely from COVID. What President Trump wants is merit-based immigration that'll help the country. And first of all, if Democrat governments have been very busy promoting China, giving it the most favored nation, and giving away our manufacturing jobs to very low, wages, kind of producing manufacturing jobs in China. I think it behooves a responsible president to bring those jobs back. I mean, I've worked in Ohio Belt where I've seen, many folks who've lost their jobs because manufacturing unit just closed. And I've seen, first of all, I also want to, at this point out, Biden and the Democrats really are in China's pockets. We cannot allow that as responsible citizens of America, as responsible citizens of the world. China, I attended seminars where Gujarati, businessmen who have motherboard, they
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think we lost her. I think it's the internet issue. So hopefully we'll have her back soon. But in the meanwhile, let me quickly just take to another the important thing that we want to also say, that we do have almost 4 million Indian Americans here that that are immigrants here that have been living their dreams, and it's a melting pot, and we have all kinds of opportunities that are given to us here, coming here with that. And I think out of that, probably 2.5 million are the ones that are the registered voters. And then, so some of them have a no positive attitude towards, their, voting. Like they say that, okay, what difference does that make? So is this because of what the results that have been seeing that disappointment, or what do you think that could be? How can we improve that one? Because I think every vote counts, and that is the reason the better democracy or any of the country can be ruled properly. So what do you think? Before you answer that, let me I'm so sorry, let me just let her finish quickly. Go ahead, Shobha. Can you hear us? Unmute yourself.
Let me
unmute. Okay.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Maybe I think, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, good. So yeah, it was a faulty internet. But I want to say that, the Gujarati businessmen, many of them went out of business because for them, they said cost of the motherboard was about $9. And with labor for one little, not motherboard, but one component of it, let's face it, I'm not a IT or a hardware person, but with maybe very minimal profit, they had to have it priced at $12. And there came China selling the completed piece for $3, $2.90.
Okay.
They said there was no way they could compete. So all of them went out of business. What business does a president elect, or I shouldn't say the president hopeful have colluding with a force like that? What business do the Democrats have giving most favored nation to China at the cost? These are American citizens I'm talking about, Gujarati origin, but American citizens. Why should American citizens be hurt just because China can prosper and become your enemy? I don't understand that logic. I can't believe Americans won't have that, that patriotism. I mean, people can talk big. We're not here to assess anybody's character. I mean, President Trump also has delivered on many
Actually,
things.
at
Look at the
Bardo,
lowest unemployment. Look at the tax rate brought down from 35% to 21%.
Anuji,
Yes,
I think
go
we
ahead,
should
Sandeep.
stick to
So,
facts.
those are
And
the
it's
things.
not about Democrats or Republicans.
Right.
As
Oh,
your
okay. I was
country
gonna
No,
just
I need
say
to
that.
finish. I need to finish.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
So let's
Sandeji, you should allow others to talk.
Go
That's
ahead.
it. That's the
Well,
problem.
Go
with
ahead. Go
Democrats
ahead. And
now.
yeah, we
gonna
have,
be
we have
based
2
on
minutes. Go
facts.
ahead. Go
I want to
ahead.
make sure it's based on facts.
Instead of talking. No.
So, okay,
not-
I'll
I
give you a
will not
minute. Go ahead
accept
and finish quickly.
any
Then I will give a
interruption to
chance
my
for that
speech
too.
because we all listen to you with respect. And
Sure.
you Democrats need to understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, because she spoke at length. Nobody uttered a word. The Democrats have lost principle. Look at the law and order situation going on, setting cities on fire. Is that your agenda for America? I mean, give me a break. So this is utter nonsense. I don't know how America got here. And then I'm coming to the jihadi influence too. So why is only one religion being propped up in Biden's manifestos? What about the other religions? I feel left out as a Hindu minority by Biden. And what about the anti-India resolutions, anti-CIA resolutions by Democratic city councils? I think it's a very one-sided perspective and one-sided, to almost letting down India on many, many aspects and propping up a lot of the anti-humanity forces in the world. Whereas Trump, in terms of actual delivering, I mean, look at him. He has slashed the prices of prescription drugs by 50%. And patients can actually afford insulin and not die before. And Obamacare, whatever came in, it's called the Affordable Care Act, but it's the most unaffordable care because the premiums shot up very high that families could not afford it. And then they ran the risk of actually not having insurance and breaking the law. So what kind of governance is this? And I don't think people who vote for, first of all, the hate for Trump seems to supersede anything else. And Biden doesn't have an actual plan. So that's really what I feel about this whole thing.
I'm 100% with you, Shobhaji. There is no doubt about it. I mean, imagine now everybody blames Donald Trump for all the riots and all.
No.
Every
Seriously, we
state
are
has an
not
authority, every state
blaming.
has a responsibility.
Not blaming. Actually, that let's take this one as a very productive conversation, so that I don't think we are blaming, and we are actually discussing then what the and positive and the negative sides of those things. And then definitely there are different perspectives, like I said, that each person, that is, I totally respect that. So let's move on to the next one, that question that I asked, so what is the ignorance of the several people? Like I said, that we have 4 million Indian Americans here, immigrants, that are out of that 2.5 probably are the registered voters. So what is that's actually giving them that feeling that my vote doesn't count?
So I can go first. Anuji.
Please, Rajesh, please go ahead.
So first of all, namaste to Shaluji. I guess I don't know if she can. Looks like her video is frozen.
Sandhya, can you hear us?
Namaste, Shaluji. And then I know Sandhyaji made a comment. I just had a quick question, Sandhyaji. And again, I love this environment, but I know we are getting a little
The audio is
what
bad.
Shaluji said.
I don't know if it's just my connection.
Yeah, I think, okay, yes, I think if you can just mute your...
There is a feedback. We need to mute.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so what I was just saying was, clearly we are, passionate about our views and perspectives, and that's good. But I appreciate what Anuji and Shaluji said, or Shobhaji, that's the name that's on the screen there, Shaluji, that I guess let's, have this with mutual respect, right? Let's respect each other's perspectives. And so, Sandhyaji, quick question before I share my views on Anuji's question. You said you might be somebody who has been here the longest in the US. If I may ask, since when have you been in the US? Just from my understanding. Did you hear my
sorry,
question,
the
Sandeep?
audio was bad. No.
Yeah,
please
my
repeat,
quick
if
question
you
was,
don't mind.
since when have you been in the US?
I've been in the US since I was 6 years old.
No, I know, but which year? I mean, because you look quite young, so
You look very young. So how early did you get in here? That's what it's a compliment.
which year is I'm asking. I'm not asking your age.
Very nice, but I'm not. No, I'm not very young. I've been working professionally for 30 years. I'm a tax director at a multinational.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was your question with regard to.
No, yeah, I was just trying
the
to
other thing I would say, Dushyant, he said the younger
hold on,
generation
Sandeep.
is not very politically active. Actually, I don't think that's the case. I think they are, and they tend to ascribe more with how the Democratic population thinks. But
So
go
Sandeep,
ahead.
let me
Do you have a follow-up
pause
question?
you here. I was just trying to, out of the curiosity, that question jumped up to me just to know, because I came here in 1982, and so I've been here in the US for quite some time, and I'm sure Shobhaji, Suryaji, and Krishnaji have been here in the US for a long time as well. But that aside, right, now I'll just try to concisely share my perspective, Anuji, to the question you asked. And then we can turn it over to Dushanji or Sundarji, whatever your sequence is.
Yes.
So, I clearly shared my views, my perspective.
Hello, Sanjeevji.
Hi, Anu, how are you?
Sorry.
Sanjeevji.
Let me quickly introduce Mr. Sanjeev Sinha is actually that he just joined, and then we are actually discussing about the question that I just asked, like why there is a little bit of hesitancy in then and voters, and they don't think that their vote matters. So Mr. Rajesh from Austin, that he's going to be answering. Go ahead.
Yeah. Namaste, Sanjeevji, and welcome.
Thank you.
So, I was just trying to give my perspective, right? In the first part, I talked about what I felt were important issues as an American, okay? Just like a regular, American brother. So now the second part, Anuji, that the way I look at it is from an Indian standpoint, through the Indian lens, if you may, because like Suryaji said, our Matrabhumi is Bharat, our Karma Bhumi is the United States or America.
Right.
So for me, I sort of look at them on pretty much on par, and of course the United States aspect comes first because I'm an American. So having said that, when I look at it from the Indian lens, the Bharat lens, there are 5 or 6 key issues that I have sort of kept in mind, and based on that is how I voted, how I supported a certain party. And so to me, those key factors were first, what kind of a relationship? Guys, you may want to put it on mute on your side because otherwise we are hearing the typing. Thank you. So the first issue was, what kind of a relationship is there between the United States government and the Indian government, right? What is the personal chemistry that's between, again, somebody's typing and can you, okay. And what is the sort of the personal chemistry between the president of the US and Prime Minister of India? That also was another key factor that I kept in mind. The third one, and I know Shobhaji touched on it briefly, was what is the respect, what is the support shown by the world's oldest democracy to the world's largest democracy, right? And what I mean by that is, these acts vis-a-vis CAA or around 370, right? How did the United States, treat that, right? Which party was supportive to it? And then the fourth one is immigration. And, I know I talked about immigration from an American standpoint, but it's also clearly an important issue for Indian Americans, right? Because our families are there. We have lots of professionals who want to come here. And the way I look at it, and I think Shobhaji touched on it briefly, and maybe Suryaji as well, which is, Trump's policy is merit-based immigration. Okay, he's not saying we are going to not let qualified immigrants come through. Clearly he's going to put America first, just like any other country's leader would do. So that's in the immigration space, right? Merit-based immigration, which I believe will help, our Indian brethren.
Raishi, let's keep a little bit short. I mean, I hope you don't mind, because I think that like since all the other panelists also joining, I really appreciate. I hope you don't mind, like just
No, not at all.
So
I get the point. So I'll just quickly wrap up, right?
Okay.
Then there are two or three key other issues in that India list, right? Support against China. We all know what's happening in Ladakh, right? It has clearly become a rogue state. Support against the terrorism that's sponsored by Pakistan. And then the last one is support by US for India in terms of entities like Nuclear Suppliers Group, United Nations Security Council, and so on. So Anuji, my point is when I look at these 7 factors that I've mentioned,
right,
it might be hard to remember, but I hope they are fairly holistic, that from that standpoint, I clearly see this as a black and white situation where President Trump has knocked the ball out of the park on all those 7 factors, right? So that's why I'm clearly bullish on Trump and the Republicans, and that's why I, voted for him.
Okay, so I know it always helps to see the other side of it as well, and then I'm going to let Sanjeev ji just take over. Then if you have a comment on that, please do go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think definitely. I think, and I can see where Rajesh ji is coming from, and my perspective is a little bit different. I think. I think if you look at geopolitics, right, given the rise of China right now, you can posture away all you want, which I feel that Trump does a lot of, very little substance, a lot of posturing. I think it would be foolish on the part of any US president, any US administration to not have a good relationship with India as a buffer against China. So that I think is one thing, definitely. For me, I think it came down to really, yes, we can think about our country of origin and all of that, but we live in the US, right? And in the US, what the situation and my vote did not go to Trump, and the reason for that was simple. I think, yes, he has taken a stand against China, but it has been a half thought out stand, right? Yes, lots of noise, not enough thought, and that seems to be a pattern, and that's really bothersome to me. That when you're not following experts, when you're not following science, when you do whatever seems to be the flavor of the day, and then you jump onto something else without much thought.
Right.
You silence dissent. You shut down people who question what you're saying, and you badmouth them. That is no way to run a country. And he's basically a failed businessman. So he's got a track record for non-performance. So I think it doesn't give me any confidence. And with the number of deaths and the COVID-19 being so badly mismanaged, I have no confidence.
Right. Okay. Let me ask Mr. Surya. Surya is here also, I think. I don't know if he's Mr. Surya, are you there? I can't see you on I think the video is off for some reason.
Anuji, can I do a quick add a quick point?
Sure, go ahead, Darshan. Please.
I think Sanjay left, but I want to quickly do a rebuttal on her questioning of how much the number of youth joining the political system. So if one type of party gets a lot of youth joining and working with them, that does not suddenly say that the whole youth is supporting a party. You need to see youth everywhere. They need to talk to each other. I mean, if there is only a lot of participation in Democrats, it doesn't mean that participation. You need to have enough youth participation in the Republicans also, because there are people, a lot of kids trying to walk around with their MAGA hats on, but they're really scared that they might get beat up in today's system. That fear needs to go away. The level of freedom of expression should increase. They should be able to talk, be able to put their point of view. That's still missing. So that's that. And as far as your original question, why some people are reluctant to vote and feel it count, that's part of the education, I guess. And that's what we are trying. That's what I'm trying. I have done my walks this time. I've done a lot of campaign walks, and I have tried to educate people. I've told them how
Okay.
you being an individual can make a difference. So
Okay.
it's only a matter of education. There's not much we can do about it.
Anyone have any comment on that? And actually, let me invite Mr. Dineshji. Thank you so much for joining from California, I think. And then how are things going up there, actually? And so
Yeah.
I know it is too early to comment on anything right now. And we do have a good panelist here. I think we do have a majority for right now at this point for Mr. Trump. And so I think we only have Mr. Sanjeev representing the former vice president. So, but that's okay. We are going to be asking all kinds of different issues that what we are thinking about, like this 2020 election, because I think it's important to us. We all see it so differently. So let's go ahead and start with. I'm going to start with Sanjeev ji. So let me ask you this one. Like we all are facing one of the monster issue right here now is because of the down for economy and all the related issues, like that is happening because of the COVID pandemic that happened. And we do have it, we heard that, it was not handled properly. And some of them say that, no, that was the only way to handle. So I want you to put some light on it, and then I'm going to let everyone else comment on that.
Sure.
Quickly.
And if I may just make a quick comment on what Dushyant
Sure, go ahead.
said earlier about the youth, right? And I think you're absolutely right. People should feel free to express, how they feel and what they say. I do feel that if you're not white, you are in this current environment, at least by Trump, you're marginalized. And he's come out in support of white nationalism many times, and we all know that. And in fact, the El Paso terrorist who killed a bunch of people in El Paso, he lived in my neighborhood, and I live in an affluent neighborhood of Dallas. And if terrorism can happen here, it can happen anywhere. So I've seen the toxicity of Trump's message, and I don't like it, and I feel unsafe for my kids. Now, going back.
No, quick one. I think you just moved away from the original question. The question was the participation of the youth. I think the examples that you did not,
So why
add
do
to the
people are so adamant and reluctant?
why did the
not
youth?
participating?
What do we do to make the youth participate in the political system? Not
Sure. And I think
why.
and the youth I think I feel very good about the youth because the youth is participating.
Do
At
you
least
think it's participating on both sides?
I don't know.
That should not be the answer. The answer should be yes. I see both youth on both sides.
No, but
Feel
come
confident to come out
the
and
answer.
walk out and express their opinions.
Sorry, the answer.
I feel that's missing.
No,
Yeah.
I
Let
think
me
I cannot
add
answer that because I don't know.
let me add my views. So
Yeah.
actually, the youth are participating in the election. Definitely, they're waking up, and then they're both sides of the spectrum. They know some people are heavily influenced by the BLM and all these new movements which are going on. So they are awake and they see which direction the country is going. Yes, there is a split and there is a heavy discussion going on in the campus. There is a lot of things which are being discussed, and they're awake, but they don't know the bigger context and they don't know the full history, what has happened in the last 40-50 years. So that context has to come in, but they are learning very fast and they know that they stand and their choices will determine the future of the country. That's very important, because if you look at the demographics, baby boomers and the older generation is 100 million. After that, 150 million is the millenniums. They will carry forward
Yes.
the future of America with all the value system and the constitutional rights and everything. So they need to know what has happened in the past, and they need to know this is a transition period, and this is a very critical period, and we all have to hold it together so that we move to the next generation.
Agreed.
Let me introduce Neil. Just give me 1 second so that she just joined. Neil, are you there?
I think Neil dropped off. Anu.
Okay. So let me end. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so
just
you'd
keep the answers little short so that we can actually cover a lot more topics. So that on this one.
So
Yeah, go
you'd
ahead.
asked me the question about COVID, right? So I think here is where I think as the largest economy where we have failed, the plan and I mean, at the end of the day, it's a public health issue, and it needs a planned response, and that has been lacking. The messaging has been inconsistent. You know, it's been downplayed where it's really shouldn't be downplayed. The economy shouldn't be shut down. I mean, there should be planned ways of reopening the economy. I mean, I'm a small business owner, and my business is suffering big time because my customers have gone, and I'd rather not be in this situation. And I would expect a much better planned public health response instead of just downplaying the significance of this pandemic. We've got plenty of examples across the globe where it has been taken seriously and managed. And at the end of the day, there is no cure right now. I mean, hopefully there'll be a vaccine at some point. But there's just a complete lack of management. It's just do what you want.
Okay, so let me just take this one as a very different way.
But I would like to say one thing over here in the middle. Why not? Okay. Nobody talks about blaming China. We are talking about only we did not manage it. China is the main culprit.
Okay, so what
good problem for COVID is China, not the America or in any other country. Nobody talks about that. It saved millions of lives. Every state has a responsibility. It's not that everything federal government comes and do it. Every state has a senator, has a governor, has everything. They have a responsibility to do it. Even you see the riots, where it taken the place, and nobody talks about that. Everything you have to blame only the Trump. I mean, it's not correct. The people should understand the number one, the culprit for me is China. Period.
Can I say something to that, please? Can I say something to that?
Sure, please.
So I think you can blame whoever you want. That's the easiest thing to do, right?
No, we are not blaming. We are
no. Let me finish. You can blame whoever you want. Blame China if it makes you feel happy. It's not going to solve your problem.
It's not a blame. It's a reality.
Hold on.
Okay, let him talk, Suryaji. Let him finish.
Let me finish my thought, and then you
give him 1 minute. Yes.
Yeah, let me just finish my thought, and then you talk. So you can blame whoever you want. China, fine. Blame China. It's not going to save lives. In the US, ultimately, the buck stops with the president. The buck stops with the president, whether you like it or not. And the president is Trump. The buck stops with him, and he doesn't want that responsibility. That's, for me, that's unconscionable.
So that means if Donald Trump says that it's not my responsibility, as an individual, we do not have a responsibility.
Right now, I think sorry to interrupt, but now that it's already a decision time, I don't think that it will make any difference that by blaming or just arguing about certain things that have already taken place. But what I think is if we can just go ahead and see that what exactly is going to be needed with the upcoming government, what it's everyone has a right to just express, yes, definitely, if you think that one, I totally respect that. But let us talk about what if this both of them are very capable leaders, but what changes that are going to come and what your expectations from that leader is probably the appropriate subject right now to talk about, because past is already done, damage is already done, and also the recovery is done. We all see it in a different way. But at the same time, before even I go to the next question, let me introduce Neil. Neil Gunawantla, thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure having you, and we have a very precious panel here, and I'm hoping that you all are having fun with this one. And see, what I was going to ask the next question to you all was the economical issue that's we all are thinking about, because the one thing that always voters at this year in 2020 election was that I am going to decide. There are three major issues. The one was the pandemic, which brought down the economy, and the second one is the healthcare. The third one is maybe it's a very minor issue, that who is going to be the appointment of the Supreme Court. So all of those minor matters on top of that, and our votes have been split. and it is completely divergent. So what do you have comment on that one? Like, so what would be the expectation, and like what do you think that we want for Texas as such, especially? Neil, can you answer that?
So I think the economy is really top of mind for a lot of people. But in our community, because this is a Desi program, I will speak to the Desi community. What the quote unquote economy means is different depending on what income bracket you fall into. As the highest income earning community, in the United States, with an average household income above $100,000, which is more than double the national average, and with high income earning potential, because we are, generally speaking, according to the U.S. Census, one of the highest educationally literate communities as well. One of the biggest challenges we have is a recognition of what the economy actually means. I think
Right.
a lot of people in the Desi community measure the economy by how well the stock market is doing. And that is one measure, what one could measure the economy that way. But if you really look at a lot of long-term indicators of how the economy can do, will do, or will perform, the economy has, the stock market has done reasonably well under President Trump. But that was a continuing trend from President Obama's presidency. We did not see any major changes in policy other than the Trump tax cuts, which have not shown any net significant benefit to the overall stock market or to the overall economy, because a lot of that money was used for corporate buybacks. So
Right.
we have not necessarily seen actual economic growth. What we have seen is stock price increases, which is not the same thing. When you actually look at what is happening within the general economy, meaning not the stock market, but the broader economy, what we have seen is significant unemployment, and that is with COVID. Okay, unemployment went quite high, up to almost, it was.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you please base your analysis with some kind of reference to
Data,
any documents or any reports, please?
Sure. I mean, you can refer to, if you want to just talk about economic policy broadly, Wharton Business School, 13 Nobel Prize winning economists, and Moody's all said that Biden's economic plans would result in greater economic growth. And I will pull those while we are on this. But it is not a measure of the stock market alone. And that is one thing that our community really has to look beyond. It is a measure of so many other things, like the health of our manufacturing. We have to look at our overall productivity. We've seen a decline in American productivity over time.
Can you also talk about unemployment rates?
Yeah, unemployment right now is at 8%, which is pretty high. And with the pandemic continuing.
Oh, you mean since last month?
Since it's come down to 8%. It's been higher than that since the pandemic started. We were almost at 20% unemployment.
Can I just
National average? The national average?
And I'm sorry, hold on one second. That is not necessarily affecting the Desi community. But
It's
when
an
you look
overall,
at the health
this
of the overall economy, that is actually very, very significant.
Daisy or not, I'm a citizen of this country, and that numbers matter to me.
Yeah,
How many
so
of you-
8% is very high, and there's no end in sight.
8%? I think you need to really quote that data, where you're getting that from, because we can cross-check that for you.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Because I think you'll find
Okay,
it's
it's okay. Yeah, we will verify that.
The thing is, this is the problem, Anuji. This is the issue with most of the members here, is that throwing a blank lines at a panel who are sitting over here, it's not going to help. We should, if we're going to say something, let's
okay. The Bureau of Labor
with some kind of data.
The U.S.
Okay, Bureau of Labor Statistics 7.9%. Take a look.
7.9%. It's sitting at the
Bureau of Labor Statistics 7.9%. Go take a look.
9%. It's sitting at
Euro,
8%.
what was that again?
But
Euro?
this is
Bureau
abnormal
of
time,
Labor Statistics,
Bureau
BLS.
of Labor Statistics.
Yeah, this is abnormal time, and they are working on it. So we need to see once the COVID kind
So
of
just
comes
for a
down under
month or so,
control. Then
so
they will
No,
all
by
no,
those
no,
the
previous
first
numbers are
quarter.
just gone poof.
No,
They
no,
just
By the first
vanished.
quarter of
The-
next year, we will see
the
a
unemployment
change.
rate has been almost close to 20%. I will cite you the exact person who gave me this
Yeah, you
figure.
need to, because
No,
their
that
numbers are muddled and muddled.
It's the president.
so
It's the
definitely
president
we
of
will
the-
we will
wait, hold
follow
on.
we
This
will
is very
follow the
important.
verification.
You didn't quote a single thing for me. You just thrown some numbers at me.
President of
Look
the
at the
Federal
chat.
Reserve Bank.
Because
You
I
keep
know
talking
people who
over-
provide that data,
No,
they
all
stand
you're
by it.
doing
They
is
don't
doing
just give away
exactly
numbers
what
like that.
that's talk
Dushan,
over
let
people
her finish.
and say, where's your data coming from? I'm telling you, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas is telling you, based on economic studies done by the Federal Reserve Bank.
You can throw a link in the chat. I'll go and work on it.
Definitely,
I have
Dushan, like
already
you
done
can
that.
definitely look at it. So
Okay.
okay, I think we let instead of just proving each other's points, I think that, like I said, we need to focus on more productive results from this panel. Neil, I have another one for you. So for healthcare, I think that that is also one of the biggest issues. So do you think that we are where we are as far as the controlling the COVID is concerned? Do you think that we are coming down? I think she's frozen. So I'm going to let Mr. Rajesh answer that one. So let's go ahead. And I think he's been quiet for a while now. I think it's time.
Well, when experts speak, somebody has to listen. So
No. Let's keep it for a minute comment, and then so that we can move on for the next one. That'll be great. Neil, you may want to close that. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Now we are good.
I think I'm back. Sorry.
Yes. So let's continue the conversation, and so let's see that Mr. Rajesh, go ahead. Just keep it short, but yes, I want to hear from you.
So Anuji, if you don't mind, I have to drop in a few minutes. And,
Sure.
When it comes to economy, and I know Neil ji has a certain take, Sanjeev ji has a take, and I respect that Dushan ji clearly has a different take, and that's fine. I mean, that's the purpose of this forum. But I just wanted to share a few other views that are not directly related to your question, and then I'll probably need to drop.
Okay.
But I believe as a sort of a passionate American Hindu, I need to share this with our brethren here.
Sure.
And namaste, Dinesh ji, Neil ji.
Namaste.
Welcome. So, and I think most of us have read Rajiv Malhotra's books, right? He uses this term Purva Paksha.
I have interacted with him. Collaborated with him.
Sorry?
I have collaborated with Rajiv Malhotra. Go ahead.
Is that you, Dinesh ji?
Yeah, Dinesh here. Yes.
That's good. That's good to hear. So you clearly are. We are in a special company here, Dinesh ji. That's good. Saluji,
I've written a book also. Yeah.
So all I was saying was, as I looked at, let's say Trump versus Biden, I shared with you my reasons, my rationale for why I voted for Trump, looking at the American lenses as well as the Indian lenses. But Rajiv Malhotra sort of recommends doing a Purva Paksha, right? Understand the opposition, understand the other side, where they are coming from. As Sanjeev ji was saying, let's try to understand that. And I'll just mention a few points here, right, that sort of crystallized my decision.
Right.
And so, first of all, when I look at Vice President Joe Biden's sound bites and what I've heard from the Democratic Party, it is clear to me that he is planning to take America down the socialist path. Okay, and I'm sure others would probably argue and debate, and that's fine. I respect that. But that's sort of my observation, because when he talks about opening borders and letting 11 million immigrants in, and sort of increasing regulation, increasing taxes, that to me is a harbinger of a socialist kind of a democracy. And then for somebody who has had sort of an interesting past vis-a-vis China, my sense, right, looking ahead, is that if he comes into power, we are looking at him being relatively much softer on China, okay, than what President Trump has been. The third element, which is important to me, may not be as important to others, given my Matrabhumi is India, is that somebody like uh, Vice President Joe Biden, who has been given the Hilal-e Pakistan, the highest civilian award from Pakistan. He is likely to be very cozy with Pakistan, who we know has been, sort of terroristan, the hub of terrorism. And so that's another key concern that has played into my mind. And then finally, um, you know, when I look at the events that are unfolding, not only in India, but recently in Europe, and I look at US as the last bastion. My concern is that somebody like Biden and Harris, right, are likely to be significantly soft when it comes to tackling terrorism. Because when you look at today's responses from President Trump as well as Joe Biden as one of the latest examples to what happened in Vienna, President Trump came down hard and sort of said terrorism, is a problem, while Joe Biden's remarks were around hate and violence, right? So based on these factors, with due respect to all my panelists, my take is, I think, with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris coming into play, I think we are looking at, our democracy trending to be a socialist one, rather than a vibrant, market-driven democracy that Trump and Pence can do. So with that, I'll pause.
So either
Yeah,
Sanjeev
so
or Neil, do you want to respond to that one quickly, just one in like a minute or so?
I would like to respond.
Sure.
And then I will give Dinesh. I'll give you. So I promise I'll give you just quickly as soon as they finish. I'll give everyone. Okay, go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I think I can. I mean, I can definitely see where Rajesh is coming from. I mean, I understand. I can see his point of view and why he would feel the way he feels. What I would submit is simply this, right? I think if you forget the spin that you're hearing from people that Kamala Harris and Biden are going to take the country socialist, what have you. I think if you just look at their platform is quite a centrist platform, and you don't even have to look very far. I think you have to just look back a few years when Obama and Biden were part of the administration, or go back even further, to the Clinton years, right? Whenever Democrats have been in power, the story has always been, oh, socialism, they'll take us left. And it really doesn't happen, because I think the tendency is to paint them a certain way. But, most of America, and certainly the Democratic Party platform right now, is more centrist. Yes, center left probably, but it's not extreme left. So I think that is all I'd submit to you. Yes, you can fearmonger all you want, but that's not what reality is. And that's my take on the whole thing. But of course, like Rajesh ji, I have my opinion, and I've come to my conclusion. So
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to give a minute to
I also would
Dinesh.
like to quickly conclude.
Yeah. So
Okay, after Dinesh, yeah.
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead,
is
Mr.
it my
Dinesh.
I
turn?
think
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
All right.
Then I will give you
So
Neil after that quickly. So okay,
okay.
go ahead.
So thank you. So good points by Rajesh ji. So the main point is situation is that there is a high deficit, a lot of healthcare needs because of the demographics, 100 million plus baby boomers for the next 20-30 years. So it's a hard choice. And then economy has to sustain all these things which are going on with all the past money spent on wars and other things. So a lot of hard choices for any president who is going to come. That is one thing you have to remember. But the choice of a center left or a leftist president like Joe Biden and his team would be going towards socialism, because that's the way their policies ideology is, and it will make it worse situation. And according to me, the reason being that choices are very few here. Now there is going to be a shock because of the global system and the dollar and the trading system are reaching a point where the balance is skewed and it has to be balanced. So dollar valuation, central banks reset, a lot of things have to be considered in the next 2 3 years. A lot of things are there which has not been faced before in the world economy. Okay, and these large economies like China and India coming in, and Asia becoming bigger in the whole global GDP, everything, it's a big thing. Okay, so these are not simple choices at this point, and I don't have answers for everything because it's a tough one. Second point is regarding the radical terrorists going around everywhere. So the support coming from the radical elements to the Democratic Party plus a lot of other leftist thought process are not helping the stability in the society and kind of not helping the social balance. So this is a cause of concern. So we need some way of handling all those issues, and there is not good choices here. So it needs a much better response from the society and West. As at this point, there is a, I would say there is a divide. Plus, it has come to a point where they need to do a reset and rebalance and look at the whole thing. So there is going to be some changes, huge changes. That's my point here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinesh. Okay, Neil,
Ravi,
please go ahead.
quick 2 points, and I got to go too.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, and I apologize. I have to leave too. So one is about the COVID. I don't think anybody has given a proper answer. I mean, I've not heard about it. But again, it's a most unexpected incident, and there is not much we could do because we had zero knowledge about it. And there are so many policies that go around the system, medical system, that you can't just come up with a quick solution, just shut it down. Because it's like a catch-22 situation. You suddenly shut it down, then the Democrats come, and they did it too. They're going to come back and say you shut down the country too early. If you did not shut down, you killed too many people. So either way, they're going to get you. So there's no. Having said that, the Democratic states have not done any good either. Actually, they are worse than the Republican states. They should have, if they feel that this country should have handled it better, the states were free to do so, but they did not. So that's there for the COVID part. As far as
I'll respond.
I'll finish up and then I'll listen to you, ma'am. Just
Sure,
quickly.
go ahead.
As far as the socialist thing is concerned, Sanjeevji, I agree with the fact that they cannot lean all the way to the socialists. Then there you go. If you're sure that you're not going towards the socialist policies, you're not going to be a socialist country, don't make those kind of promises. Why are you coming up with those kind of ideas?
They're not.
You're opening up more as a socialist idea.
You guys are.
You're just
They're
saying
not.
that.
They're not saying that at all. You guys are saying that.
Oh,
they're
come
saying.
on. In the debate, Biden has said time and again that he'll open up and he'll allow everybody to come through the border.
No,
He's never said that. Quote.
It was
show me
not
where.
clarified,
Show
but
me.
you know, like
Show me where.
No, I can get you a clipping right now. He
Yes,
said
please
that.
do.
Get me the clipping right now. He's never said it.
And the Green Deal. Hey, just one second. Let me finish.
Yeah,
The
go
Green
ahead.
Deal. If you think these things are not possible to be achieved, then don't promise. Don't
He's
make.
not promising.
Any of
He's
those
not
things
promising.
mentioned.
You're making
He's
that.
been doing it. He's been saying that. He's been saying that a
Well,
lot.
you're welcome to.
Okay, I've said my points.
So
I'll listen to your rebuttals and
I'm going to respond to your COVID point, and then I'm going to go back to Anuji's original question about U.S.-India relations.
thank you.
So we were talking about the economy and the health of business. So one thing, a couple of stats just really quickly, and Dushanti, you can just Google these. These facts are all over the internet, so I'm not going to post any links here. 400,000 small businesses have closed their doors between the start of COVID and now. And the reason is because this pandemic has been very poorly managed and handled. And part of the reason that it's been poorly managed and handled is because you had a president who told Bob Woodward in an interview in February and March that he knew this was.
Ma'am, telling, please, again, let's not go with he said and she said. What policy would she
Mr. Dushan, let her finish. Let her finish.
Make something that makes sense. I mean, I cannot be going with just words that are coming out of mouth, right?
No. You need to not pull a Mr. Trump. You actually need to let people finish their sentences, please. Thank you very
Just
much.
give her 1 minute,
Yeah,
and
please
let
let me
her
Sorry,
finish,
I
and then we
apologize.
will
But
definitely
yeah,
give
Thank you.
you've been
So
using a
go ahead.
lot of
Basically,
statements that are up in the
I
air.
will, and I'm long-winded, so you'll have to have a little bit of patience. Thank you.
I
So,
agree.
so number one,
That's it.
the main thing is that you have you have businesses that have closed, and the issue then is not the same issue we have today. In February and March, we had very little understanding of the virus. We had a PPE shortage in this country, which means essential workers and doctors needed the PPE that we had access to. We did not have enough PPE to take care of all non-essential businesses. So shutting down the economy at that time was potentially a viable option. Nobody is suggesting that we do that today when we have ample PPE available in the market. So anybody who is pushing that narrative is actually pushing a false narrative, because Vice President Biden has not said that he intends to shut down the economy. What he has said is, excuse me, let me finish.
You are
What
still
he-
saying he said, she said. That argument will
You
not
can
go
go and look
anywhere.
at his statements. His policies are everybody
Policies
should be
matter.
wearing
Policies matter. He said, she said, you'll stay over here.
his
That's all.
policies
Nothing
are
matters.
that everybody
These are just
should be
words.
wearing.
Okay,
Excuse me.
Neil,
The
can I
only
say
thing you
something?
have to go on is what he is saying, because he is not in office to have done what he is saying he will do. He is telling you what he's going to do to earn your vote.
Biden isn't, or any of the Democratic states haven't proposed anything positive.
No, we have to look at what policies have been executed.
Nothing positive came
Look at
from their
what
side.
has been executed
Can
and
I-
what are the other choices.
Let me interfere quickly, and then just let me introduce our two more guests that who just joined, Mr. Ranjan Mishra and also Kamini. Welcome to the panel. Thank you. And so this is a very interesting subject that we are talking about. So Neil, go ahead and just make a comment.
Yeah,
And,
let me go
Mr.
back to
Dushan,
the
just
Yes India question.
I don't want to be rude. That's why I'm hanging on. So I'll listen to their argument and yeah.
please, thank you. You are not at all rude.
thank you.
Actually,
So
you're
let me-
bringing fun to the panel, believe it or not.
Neil, can I add one point real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, Dushanji, I think you're saying we're not bringing any facts, we're just quoting stuff, right? We are actually quoting facts, but you are
Yeah.
choosing not to listen to them.
That's
So,
correct.
for instance,
No, but
Let me
I
let
think
me
he's
give a
asking
definition
for
of a
some
fact.
proof,
A
probably.
fact
That's what
is
it is.
a presidential statement or something, a policy that comes out. A state
sure.
provides
Sure.
an official document that came out of a state
Sure.
from
So
an
if you
executive
go
order.
to Joe Biden,
Those kind of things. Any court bill.
Can I just finish my thought? And so, on the things that you're refuting, on the unemployment thing, for example,
No, let's not go there again. Let's keep it.
No, I'm just saying.
Okay, quick 1 minute. Okay,
Quick
just
1 minute.
let's
So I'm
not
just
go
saying,
for more than one.
I'm giving you facts, and you're saying you're just saying stuff. So I've given you.
I just put my
listen.
other fact to your fact in the chat. I sent it out.
Yeah, can I just finish?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bureau of Labor Statistics is the one that publishes unemployment
that's the
statistics.
national standard.
That's the one that publishes it. I've given you the source. Go take a look.
So,
second thing, Biden thinks that you're saying that he said this. He said what? We're not saying that he said that. We're telling you he did not say it. Go to his website and read his platform. He's telling you what his policies are. It's
telling you what his policy is.
Yeah.
No. So then he has memory issues. Then he should not be talking that are not in his policy.
He's not said that. You have nobody.
I don't want to debate that because we have to grab a clipping on that.
I'd like to
On the
go back
BLS, on the euro issue that you sent me the link about the national average on the unemployment part, I searched another link done by Statistica. Our national average last September 2019 was at about 2.35 or some 3 something. So you don't give the president a break because of this pandemic situation. Also, you want to pretty much poke him or witch hunt him because the unemployment has risen to 7 or 8%. You don't want to give the president a break.
In the same time, okay, let me answer that point. Sanjeev, give me one second here. Dushanti, you're talking about how great he has been for the economy, but in that same
I'm not saying he's great. I'm saying what the numbers say. I'm talking about those things. That's all.
In that same period of time, okay, the wealth gap between the haves and the have-nots is also increased. extremely significantly in that same period of time. The rich have gotten richer and the poor have
you
poorer.
gotta support
The
your
middle class in
your
America-
support your lines with some documentation, references, links,
I
paperwork,
will
some
direct you. I will direct you to the Federal Reserve Bank.
lines that
Okay, I think
Federal
Mr. has also something to say. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
he's
Mishra ji,
raising
let him
hands.
talk.
It's like quickly, yeah. Go ahead and
You need to be more prepared.
Yeah, give me a second. So the first thing I'll talk about unemployment, right? Unemployment numbers are basically based on the number of people collecting unemployment. Under this administration, 6 months and you're gone. If you're unemployed or underemployed beyond 6 months, you don't count anymore. In the previous administration, it was 6 months under state and then 6 months under federal, and then you could reapply for up to 2 years. So unemployment numbers were more accurate back then. Okay, so that's all I'd say. And anything I say is going to be fact-based. Second, on the taxes, if you're looking for a place, go look at Barron's.com. Okay, very well respected. Barron's does a fantastic analysis of Trump's tax code versus Biden's tax code, and it blows every myth out of the water. Okay, I know the team that built Trump's tax code. I know them personally. I interact with them every month, every other month, and I can tell you that was focused on one group and only one group, which was the top 1%.
Ranjanji, your audio is very bad. We could not
I think,
catch.
yeah, just we have a little bit of a difficult time hearing, but yes, we could understand a little better.
Ranjan, if you put the links in the chat for Dishanti, I think that would be helpful.
Okay,
That would be really great, Mr. Ranjan. So please do. And okay, so let's.
If I can step in for just a second to go back to
ahead.
answer the original question about US-India
Yes.
relations. So if you actually look at President Biden's statement that he made on August 15th, there's a video, you can Google it online. What he clearly says about US-India relations is that he wants to see, and I quote, India and the US building one of the strongest alliances. I think he refers to it as a close ally, working together on a number of global issues, specifically on border security for India. Who is that against? That's,
What did he say about Kashmir?
He specifically talked about protecting India from terrorist issues.
What did he say about Kashmir?
He hasn't.
Straight question.
He hasn't made a statement on Kashmir.
Really?
He hasn't. You can check.
He and Kamala Harris together teamed up and said they want make autonomy to Kashmir. That's what he said.
He did not say that. I don't know
You need
where
to look
you're
it up.
getting that from. He did not say that. He did not say that. So number
So
two.
Okay, I think we need to hear something from Mr. Surya also. I think he's been very quiet. I think. So,
Okay,
Mr. Surya, what do you think?
Now I'm going to introduce my very good friend of mine, Mr. Srini Gudpati, and he's a what do you call a political science candidate, and he is the best answer he can do. That trust me, I've seen him in the many debates, and Srini, welcome to the debate. And please answer these questions of the Democratic Party. You are the best person I can understand that. I've seen you many debates before.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm really thankful, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Dushan, for joining. Really appreciate. Definitely that pleasure having you, and looking forward. And so okay, let's we can definitely come back and then have this one after the results also. So I'll have a very good night, and let's continue with our new panel. And I think Neil. Okay, you're back. Okay, so Neil,
Anu, I've actually got to go.
Yes,
yes. Quick answer, Neil. Just one more question is so about the counting. So they're all saying that the impact of the posted voting. So do you have any comment on that? So are we going to be late? Like, is this going to impact on our results?
On the mail-in voting?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to impact Michigan and Pennsylvania specifically because I think there are over 2 million votes in Michigan and Pennsylvania which were cast by mail, which have not been counted yet into the election results. I think that we still have to wait and see. Many of those votes are expected to be Democratic votes. So many of those votes are expected to go for Vice President Biden. And if many of those votes do in fact go for Vice President Biden, those votes are actually expected to flip Michigan and Pennsylvania for Vice President Biden. So, you know, I think this election is really, we may or may not know the results tonight. And we'll have to wait and see until after all of those ballots are counted.
All right, sounds good. Because I know that for Texas, I think it's probably going to take until tomorrow. I'm not even expecting anything for tonight, any time sooner.
Texas.
Yeah, now let's Srini take some questions. Srini, go
Thank
ahead
you, Suryaji,
and give some answers.
Thank you to everyone for the participating it. Sorry, it took me a little late for me to join because I have been having debates going on with the other groups actually. So far, I think, I can start answering any questions if you may have before we get into the, how the results are looking like and what we can expect in the forthcoming days.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who's
Like,
going to
if
win?
you have like a quick comment, that would be great. Like, just like a short one. Yes, please. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Well,
like how the results are looking. Yes.
By the time when I joined this session, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You're audible. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
by
hear
the
you.
time I
Kamini
joined into
also.
this, someone was talking about what kind of a comments they made, about the Kashmir or not. But let me say one thing. Trump is all for India when it comes to the respecting country's sovereignty and the national security, but not Democrats. Democrats, I see that a leader supporting India, three categories, whether is he a supporter, or is he a neutral, or is he anti-India? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris persistently in their entire public life, all the way through 47 years of public life of Joe Biden. I don't know how many years Kamala got in. From the day one, all she got is the Indian name, Kamala, that's it. She never embraced the Indian culture, Indian lifestyle, working for India, wishing good for India. She never did in her entire life. Addition to that, these two stand by together, Hilal Pakistan. As a matter of fact, Biden is also awardee of the Hilal Pakistan. And he's been, all his political life, he's been being a supporter of communism, China, and also Muslims, Islams. And he wanted to run through the America with a socialism, having the Bernie and AOC, Ilhan Omar, and whatnot. We cannot let America fall into the Islamization. We as an Indians, we know how much atrocity they have been done. It is not respecting the multicultural. I agree, our religion is great, but at the same time, Hindus never say that your religion is not great. Islamization is the only one who will come forward and says that if you turn yourself into the Islam, if not, what do they say? You are an infidel. Not only that, if Islam, a Muslim to the other Muslim, if they don't follow their religious rituals, what do they call? Kafir. That's how they run through it. That's how they run through the system. And this is a freedom country. This is America. Unlike, I would say, I got to say that, unlike Europe. So hopefully Europe is learning its lessons and the whole world is going to see what is happening across the globe. So I think we are going to get into the good times. It doesn't matter who wins it. Realization is the key. I think world is getting to the point where every nation to get the realization of it.
Okay, Srinji, if you could please tell us where we are, you said that, the election results, how we are doing right now. We just came back from the other groups, and then I'm very sure that, you heard about it. I believe I'm looking at it right now. Suryaji, do you have any results with you? I know that you're about to share.
Yeah, actually, I'm working through on it. So
yeah, can you announce some of the results that what we have right now, so that our audience can actually hear where we are right now?
What I say is that bigger picture,
Uh-huh.
Trump will continue to hail, but it may not have a landslide unlike we had a last time.
Srini, like
Okay.
let's do some real numbers.
Okay. What are we looking at actually? I think
like let's do the states like like what we have right now, that I think that I can see the Arizona. That's
okay,
I think
Georgia,
it's
North Carolina,
yeah, I think
Pennsylvania,
53.2%. Like we have
Michigan.
Florida, we have Georgia already. Ranjan, do you have any that we can see? That do you have any results? Can you announce some of the results for me, please? You're on mute. You're on mute.
I think Indiana
What
has
do
been
we?
declared.
Okay. And I think, what about Florida?
Florida is
Georgia,
declared.
Florida,
Florida is
Iowa,
declared.
and Michigan.
Florida is declared. All the
Okay.
way through. So these are the open states which we are where Republicans is clearly leading in.
Okay.
There are
I think
Arizona
is leading as a blue, and then I think
no,
Florida.
Arizona is blue.
Yes, and so is the New Hampshire, I believe.
So only 6
let's
states. I think, yeah. For us to look into it, there are only 6, 7, 8 states are open right now.
Okay.
In which only Minnesota Democrats are leading. Okay, Nevada, I think it's going to take a long time to know because of the mail-in ballot votes.
Sure.
Looking into the 6 states, Georgia, where we have 16 electoral votes, North Carolina, 15 votes, Pennsylvania, 20, Michigan, 16, Wisconsin, 10, Montana, 3. All these 6 states, as of now, Republicans are leading, and we will continue to lead. And this is going to be the, what is that number? I guess 80. So looking into these numbers, I can say that Trump is going to continue to hail with maybe around 290 electoral votes.
I think it's too early to decide that, Srini. So let's not assume everything right now. So yes, but thanks for the encouragement. Absolutely, you can definitely say numbers, but I don't know if it is a 290 or other number. Like looking at this one, I think since we have everyone, that's going to be okay. Ranjan, do you have any comments on that or?
So I'll tell you, personally, I think it's too early to call for the very simple reason that there's been unprecedented early voting. 100 million people voted early, right? And the early votes haven't been counted. There are mail-in ballots that are going to be counted for a number of days in some states. So personally, I think anybody trying to declare victory tonight or try to, say that so-and-so won or so-and-so didn't win, I just, you can look at the numbers. It says the road to 270 right now has Biden at 205. It has Trump at 136, right? The House control is 140 for the Democrats, 152 for the Republicans. Yet Fox News is saying that the Republicans are going to maintain the House, which is 218, right? And you look at the Senate, it says 43-43. What we know is the Senate needs to get to 51, right? To really make it worthwhile. So, so I think it's all too early to call. But the one thing I will say is unfortunately, with due respect to the gentleman that spoke earlier,
Mr. Srini, yes.
Yeah, this election is about the USA. I was born in India. I was raised in India. I choose to live here and I choose to raise my family here right now. Right now, I'm an American. This race is about America first, India second, right? And and believe me, I track India very closely because I still have a lot of ties to India. And what I heard from you is a lot of the same hate rhetoric that I hear coming out of India. And the first thing we have to do is eliminate hate rhetoric from the US. I'm very close friends with a lot of the Republican candidates, okay, and Democratic candidates. And the one thing I can tell you that we all agree on is that America has to get rid of this hate rhetoric. America has to get unified, one. Two, America has to restore dignity to the office of the president. End of story, right? And I put it in the chat. David Gergen, who served 4 administrations, Republican as well as Democrat, has a wonderful write-up on what America's next president needs to do. And he ends that piece by saying, character is the single most important quality a president must have. Right?
Okay.
The first thing he says is we have to restore trust. Trust right now is at 19%. That is pretty sad. The Pew poll of international nations, 13 nations actually trust Xi and Vladimir Putin more than Trump. That is disgusting as an American, okay? We've got to restore trust within America and outside of America, 1. 2, there has to be a new tone, right? Somebody has to proclaim honesty, dignity, and respect have to become the mainstay of whatever they do, right? The next thing is every department has to review their ethics code and rewrite it if they have to. And everybody has to operate inside the center of the ethics circle, right? And then the last thing that he says is that the Office of Inspector General was intended for a very specific purpose to maintain balance, be impartial, and that has completely been destroyed by the last administration. He says you almost have to overhaul the entire inspector, look at each and every role of the Inspector General and overall that, right? Now, my personal opinion, you have to base your decisions as citizens that are voting, okay, based on facts. End of story. If you don't have facts, then you have no business voting. This is not about voting Democrat, Republican. This is about voting about what is important to you, right? And what do you look for when you look at facts? I told you earlier that Barron's did a phenomenal review of the tax code, right? Of both Trump and Biden. And at the end of the day, they tell you why a lot of what you're hearing from the administration is not true about Biden's tax code, okay? I'm speaking from a position of authority. I'm very good friends with Julio Gonzalez, who is the architect of Trump's tax law. And I meet with them probably once every 2 months. I know exactly why it was done the way it was. It was to help one and only one group in the US. It was the top 1%. That's not the way law works. Law needs to be able to help the greater good of the majority of the country, right? 1. 2, you've got to vote for somebody that has a vision, somebody that has character, and go look for the facts. It's easy. It's out there. People don't want to do the work, right? And the most important thing is, I think, somebody that can work with both sides. And that takes a very special person. So that's just my view on this. And I apologize. You know what? I would love for an administration to focus on India. They need to focus on America first, and India will come along. India is going to benefit no matter who wins, right? Okay. So sorry, I took a little longer than 1 minute.
No. I think now we have a little less time, so I'm going to let Srini, go ahead. And I think I'm very sure that you are actually have a lot of the comments on that one. So it's your turn now. Go ahead.
Okay, Ranjanji, one thing I agree with you is that yes, this is US election. US comes first, India comes next. I totally agree with you. So you mentioned something. A character in the White House is the first thing. Then I would refer back to the Clinton. Then I would refer back to the Barack Obama. So if you have a problem with the character of the Trump being in a White House, running as a POTUS to run the America as a nation and showing ourselves into the international platform, I say one thing: go and blame the Democrats. Go and blame the Republicans, who has been the established politicians who made American citizens to realize to bring someone from the outside of the establishment to be the POTUS. Get it?
Everybody makes a mistake. Everybody makes one mistake.
Everybody, I'm not saying, as a matter of fact, I'm a registered Democrat. I was supporting to Obama. I was working, going to knocking the doors to vote for Obama. Okay?
I did too.
The reason why you see this so much uproar for Trump is this, because these so-called established politicians failed big time making America first.
How do you explain 230,000 dead people?
Well, okay, you tell me, who in the world, being a leader of the nation, taking a responsibility and resigning from that role, what they are in, just because of the COVID? At the same time, same leaders, very leaders who are questioning that Trump being responsible for 200,000 deaths in America, why they are inability of questioning the root cause of the Chinese virus, so call it Chinese virus, yes? Why no one can now? Why no one can question now?
India was
The style
exposed
of
to the same
Democrats,
virus, right?
the style of Democrats and their supporters is that they wanted to work on a fix, continue by election time and again, keep on doing the same things. They look into the Hillary Clinton. Her entire lifetime spent on what?
What does
Women health
Hillary
and
What does
health care.
Hillary Clinton have to do with 230,000 deaths?
Sorry?
Okay. What does
No,
Hillary
I
Clinton?
think we are actually talking about and I don't think that is directly connected to Hillary Clinton, but see, right now that we are actually dealing with the pandemic, so that because of that, we are actually talking about what the situation is, the downfall of the economy, as well as the healthcare, and also Srini, before you go forward, let me introduce Mr. Satish Chamkan. He is from California, Fremont. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Anu. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And so we are talking about how in the upcoming, that our choices, what it makes a difference and how we are going to handle it. And that the thing is that we also have a lot of issues that we have different perspective, different opinion, different expectations from all those things. And so Srini, that he was actually talking, taking the side of Mr. Trump, then also so is Mr. Surya, and then I think we do have Mr. Ranjan Mishra, that is a Biden supporter. So we have a question that is going on right now is the first half of the conversation, that what we talked about was the youth being very reluctant about not considering their vote is important. So that we talked about that one. And the second one was the international policies, that whether it is a good idea to support or not. And then the third one, that what we are talking about right now is how we are coping with the COVID, and then how, because of the death, how it is directly, indirectly affecting, and then a lot of voters are choosing, they're making their choices depending on all those subjects that what we talked about. So is that okay, Srini? Let me give a few minutes to Mr. Satish. And go ahead.
Go ahead,
if
Satish.
you have, we would love to hear from you.
Sure. So coming from a highly democratic place, California, right?
Right.
But still, if you see, issues are very polarized, right? And for majority of the people who are, at least for our group of people who are well-read, well-studied, and they are in good positions, it's not an easy call to make either ways, because pandemic is new to both parties, right? And the way Trump has dealt with it versus how Biden or probably Clinton, if that was the case, how she would have dealt with is just a speculation at this point of time, right? At the same time, if you see some of the news reports, if you see how things are trending, it's very strange to see that majority of the people from the United States feel that managing the economy, reopening the economy, getting people back to work and getting them the livelihood, it seems to have taken an edge over how you manage the pandemic itself. And if you really look at it, right, this has been in the social media as well, a lot of people opine that initially in March, the scare of the pandemic itself was way too high, right? Over a period of time, people have started dealing with it. People have started adapting their lifestyles along with it. At the same time, being sensitive that there is no solution immediately available for anybody, right? So everybody has, but people cannot stay home. Look, if we can work from home, we have our laptops, we are equally productive, is only a small percentage of the population in the United States. Majority of the people have to go to work. Unless they go to work, they go outside, they can't make their living. Small businesses and all, they're badly hit, right? Again, my opinion, I'm not really tending one or the other. it's an unfortunate situation that we are in right now, and hindsight is always 2020, right? We always feel the way it is being handled right now is wrong. It should have been handled in a different way, because you right now know that what we have done has not worked. It has resulted in 200K plus deaths, right? So what I would give is, both these issues of bringing the economy back on track and also the controlling the pandemic itself are both very crucial issues. And whoever comes up as a president must look at it a little differently than what has been done so far in the last year, right? So I'm sure they have learned lessons and they will deal with it in a different way than what has been the case already.
So who do
200,000
you
deaths
think
is not small.
who do you think will, depending on all the things that are happening, who do you think will be handling it better? Like, in your who is better perspective?
Anu, what I can tell you is we don't know how Biden would manage it for now. What we know is how Trump has managed it. That's what we know, right? So if I had a crystal ball, I would probably say Biden would manage it better, but I don't have any data to support it.
Okay.
It is just a hunch, right? It's just a hunch, or probably based on the party line. If I'm a Democrat, I'll probably say, Biden will manage it better. But there is nothing to prove that, right? Or there's nothing to actually rationalize my call, right?
So what we can also say is, like, so then whatever that came, like, go with the flow, and then Mr. Trump also handled it as it came, so that there is no specifically that better or the worst way, so that whatever that
I
was
would
handled.
say that.
Okay.
I would say that is one. Second thing is the way he communicated to the people about how he's managing was not the best way he could have done it, probably.
Okay, so the damage is already done by just the trial and error by doing that.
Trial and error, and that probably others would have done as well. But at the same time, if he was a sweet talker, right? If he still continued to mention that, no, we are controlling it, we are doing this, we are doing that, it would have been a different story. Instead of saying, I don't believe in this, it is still a hoax, it's not a big deal. Kind of those statements kind of undermined his effort, whatever he's taking to control the pandemic as well.
Okay, so either Srini or Mr. Surya, do you have any comment on that to follow up?
Well,
okay, go ahead, Srini.
Satish,
Srini, go ahead.
Yeah, just if you're not talking, just go ahead and mute your microphone. I think still we're getting a little loop because of the. Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
thank you.
So, Satish ji, you narrated very well. So, the coronavirus is passed by China because of their irresponsibility of passing the coronavirus to the world, not just to the America, and shattering majority of the lives in majorly poor class people, economic class people. Unlike Kamala says, it is a racistic coronavirus. It is hitting only the black people. I don't believe that. It is hitting everybody. Okay, virus doesn't know you are rich or poor or economy. But what we see here is the poor people, average people, because it impacts their families, not to the person who gets the coronavirus. That's what we have been saying. What unfortunate is that there is no baseline. There is no competence to prove this thing happened in the past. This leader took these measures. This is how this has been controlled. There is a baseline. Everything is up in the air. Everything is a hypothesis to their imagination. Trump, you were talking about Trump, the way how he's handled is not good. I will tell you the good part about it. Because of the Trump, he banned all incoming flights from China, in spite of the advisor's call saying that don't do that. What I say, timely decision is the most key important. Today, whatever is the number you are calling about 200 plus. If that wouldn't have happened, we would end up seeing the million plus. That decision can only taken by the Trump, and we should be hats off to it.
Do we have any support of the documentation to do that, to see that one? Because that also is a prediction as much, right, Srini? Because I know that, the same question can be asked about like someone else if he has handled the same thing. like Mr. Satish mentioned. So this one is like something that he could have, he would have. That was again the prediction. There is no solid evidence that to prove something that he could have done better. So the same thing applies to the upcoming president as well, whether he is going to handle it or not. So do you agree? Like, I think that is probably makes the same sense to me. Okay, Ranjan. Okay, yeah. Yes.
One more thing, Anuji. At the same time, when pandemic is sweeping nation by nation across the world, when Trump is fighting for that, Trump is stopping inbound flights from the China. These opposition Democratic Party, what were they doing? Sitting in the basement, working together, shoulder to shoulder, how to impeach Trump. Is that the responsible, public leaders should be doing it? I would expect them to pause for a bit. Let us see, this is a nation issue. Let's get up, get into the office and see, work together, what needs to be done. Then probably we could resume how to impeach the Trump. Then what did they do? They were talking, they were making jokes, comments about the Trump, xenophobic, Chinese virus. They're creating a divide. How come this is a divide? What is it they did? Of course, they are not the president. You can have only one president, one person to be the POTUS, not two persons.
Okay. I think your video is a little frozen now, I think.
I think Satish ji had his hand up first. So I'd like to let him speak first.
Yes.
All right.
So I just wanted to add a few things to that, right? So basically, we can definitely not say what President Trump did was the best thing to do, right? I mean, the way the Taiwan or Vietnam or Singapore, there are examples of how other countries have managed this pandemic. Okay. First, the resolve itself, right? So the resolve has to be there. So the countries which are poorer than us, which do not have the appropriate health network and facilities, have managed this pandemic better. So I actually right now I'll be going offline and then getting into my work, where we are coming up with a big factory in Malaysia, and there are 14 cases, and the entire island is shut down for 1/4 number of cases.
Okay.
And the only way they can manage this, because there's a lot of people, it can spread too fast, it's not easy to contain. There are some harsh measures that need to be taken. I mean, stopping flights, pretty much every country did, not just China, even other countries also. India did not allow anybody coming from US either, right? So they stopped the flight, good, not a bad thing, right? And I don't want to just keep on pinpointing China, because it is done. What the issue is here right now, by harping on China, we're not going to actually resolve the problem, right? So stopping flights is one part, but there are many other measures that are needed within the country, within the communities, within the states, which require a strong leadership at the top, right? I mean, if it comes to getting the credit out of any lower number of cases, you take it. And if it is expanding, then it is no, the governors did a bad job. That cannot happen. You cannot shrug off from the responsibility of managing such pandemics when they're hitting the entire country. There is no center, there is no state. No, as a leader of this nation, you are responsible for it. So this is something, again, was somebody else would have done a better job at this? We don't know that. But we have always a free will to actually say what went right, what went wrong with the current process. It's not about, am I for Trump, am I against? It's not about for or against Trump. It is about policies, processes, and lessons that were not properly learned.
Okay.
Right?
So
you
before...
keep on jumping. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No. Go ahead. Just finish it. Quickly.
Yeah. So if you, instead of actually passing the blame on either China or the states or the individual governors, forget that. As a nation leader, what is it that I need to do, and put the foot down? No, this has to be done. Whether he shut down also is a very major decision that need to be taken. He didn't take it at the right time. So he took a decision to stop the flights, but had he taken the shutdown calls earlier and not opened up quickly, because those are the only things which have worked for China, for Korea, for Taiwan and Vietnam, that's, you open the economy quickly, then you have to again go back in, shutting down will take more time, right? So
Yes,
I would say probably there should have been a better due diligence done to what are the available options on the table and which ones are less worrisome to execute, right?
Okay. So before I hand it over to Srini, let me welcome Vandila. It's a pleasure to have you, and thank you for joining the panel. And she's a very great social worker, and also the great contributor for all of the supporter of iAsianews. So thank you so much for joining. And so as soon as I have Mr. Srini finish, then I'm going to come to you, and then I have a question for you. Go ahead, Srini.
Anu, if I can just jump back in, because I turned over to Satish because he had his hand up. So if I could just jump in. And this is addressing.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, we can wait a little bit, right, Srini?
Sorry, I don't know why I don't see the camera.
Yeah, log back in. Go ahead, Ranjan. Yeah.
So I basically, I wish Srini was on. I basically look at three things when it comes to things like this pandemic, right? Data.
Right.
Okay. The three things I look at is data. And data comes from people that are tracking this thing, people that are scientists that know what's happening behind this, and three, learning from others, right?
Okay.
United States of America has less than 5% of the world population. Yet we have more than 25% of the number of deaths and infections in this world, right?
Okay.
That to me is absolutely pathetic. You can't play the blame game and say this is China's fault, this is the Democrats' fault. I'm a leader. I run global organizations, right? Somebody needs to stand up and say, what is the best practice for this? And as Satish pointed out, there's a lot of best practices around the world. Country like India is probably one they should be following. Instead of complaining about the pollution in India and the corruption in India, go learn about how India tackled the pandemic, right? So follow best practices. But the second thing about data, he said something about, oh, this is not about, blacks, it's only the poor people. The data says this has impacted the African American community and the Hispanic community more than any other community in the United States. That's a fact. That's data. So why are we trying to dispute data, right? And at the end of the day, the government has to be able to juggle multiple balls, right? Yes, the impeachment was important. If you're an American, the impeachment was important, right? The pandemic was important. The pandemic could have been controlled, and they chose not to. So
we could not have avoided either one of them. So that I think that probably would have been the best decision that anyone could have made at that point of time to solve the issue. So okay, so Mr. Surya, I'm going to ask also you as soon as Mr. Ranjan. Ranjan, are you done, or do you have more?
No, I'm done. I'm done. Thank you.
Mr. Surya, do you have any comments on that quickly?
Can you please repeat me that question? I was a little bit.
So we are actually talking about the effect of a pandemic that, and then Mr. Srini talked about the about the impeachment of our president, and then how we could not make the quick decisions, and that actually impacted in many ways. That is what was the issue that we are talking about, especially because it was declared that that is a fact, that is on the basis of the data that we decided that the Hispanic and the Black American communities, the highly the impacted one from this coronavirus. So if you have any comments on that.
Okay, as far as I'm concerned, if we look at the many other countries, US has done really fairly well. Now I can tell you that, don't look at the country population. America is such a huge country, but the decision has been taken well. There are some areas, of course, you cannot blame everything on the government. We have to take as an individual, as an American citizen, have a responsibility to take care of our health too. You cannot just blame, you do whatever you want and blame the government. You cannot do that. And as I told you, the cause of the death is because of China. In fact, Trump has taken a fabulous decision, like banning so many products, many other things. Decision like India also took it. That is what he took the decision. He is bold enough to do that, and according to me, he has done well in a medically. And I won't be able to because I don't have correct data to tell exact. But according to me, he has done what decision has to taken is drastically come down. He saved millions of lives.
Okay.
He saved millions of lives. Now, no, I know that. In fact, every world has happened. It's not only just United States, Europe and Asia, many other countries suffered. But comparatively, if you look at that, definitely Trump has done a drastically good decision.
Okay.
Some of the great medical decision, benefits to the citizen, etc. Even you see the economy is bounced back at this during this level.
I think this election is going to conclude that, and also what are the plans. But I'm also going to give a chance to Vandala to comment on that. What is your view on that? And so please, be open about it, and then we want to hear all about it, because we just talked about how we dealt with the voting, and as well as the health care and economy and the COVID. So these were the issues we're talking about, and so how it has impacted. And then what would be our expectation from 2020? Did we choose the right president? So is what we're thinking. So go ahead. Unmute your microphone, Vandala. Excellent.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Good evening,
no
everyone.
worries.
And
no worries.
Thank you so much, Anu, for allowing me to be a part of this discussion.
Absolutely. Pleasure.
For me, I believe that people try to make the best decision at the time they have to make the decision, regardless of what their opinion is. For them, that's the best decision at that time. So regardless of how many lives were lost, how many lives were saved, the person that was able to make the decision, that's what they thought was best at that time, regardless of what you hear now. How can we move forward and try and save lives? How soon are we going to get a vaccine that will slow or stop the spread of the virus? And that's what we're trying to do. And we need to figure out as soon as possible, how can we do that? Some people say he saved millions of lives. Some people say that because of his slow response, lots of lives were lost. It's both answers are correct. He probably saved millions of lives by whatever stance he took, and the numbers show that thousands of people are now dead. There are underlying circumstances in the African American and the Hispanic community because of health. There is no access to health in some lower economic communities, and they're suffering behind it. The symptoms of COVID, if you have the underlying medical conditions, you're going to be more susceptible to the disease. Right. And most of those people who are susceptible to those disease are the people that work in jobs that they're not working from home. These are people who are in the grocery stores. They're the cleaners. They are the laborers. They're our labor force. And we have to look out for those people because they are the ones who are making the difference and allowing the businesses to thrive in our community. It's not the rich people that are coming to these communities and helping to grow the lower economy. It's the people that work every day, the people that catch the bus, the people that have to commute to work with other people. They don't have a choice to stay home. They are the essential workers, and the essential workers are primarily the ones that's being affected by it because they don't have any medical insurance. They can't stay home.
So this is something that Ranjan, do you have any comments on that? I can only see your hands typing. Actually, I can't see you. So do you?
I've got.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've got, unfortunately, my computer trying to maximize the screen has camera. Right? No, and I absolutely agree with Mandela. You make the best decision you can at the time. I am speaking from a position of authority at this point. I have done enough analysis. I'm actually helping a company that is very focused on COVID-19. And I'll tell you the one thing that it's going to take for any country in the world to really get their arms around it are three things. Accurate testing, right? With 100% accuracy. Along with that, you've got to have a vaccine to be able to minimize the number of infections and hospitalizations. People will get hospitalized, and you have to have a therapy that will treat them safely, because even if you walk out of the hospital after 5 weeks, there are enough physicians that'll tell you that the long-term damage of this is going to be a burden on our healthcare system. Sure. This damages tissues and other organs, right? You don't want to end up with kidney disease, cardiac disease, respiratory disease, liver disease, or any other disease as a result of COVID-19. So the only way to tackle it is you've got to have all three of those. Okay. The other thing I was going to say is, Suryaji, you said that America is a very big country. Unfortunately, when you look at a percentage of infections or a percentage of deaths per million, that has nothing to do with the size of the country in terms of square miles, right? A country like India that is super populated, super congested, did a far better job than the United States. And we saw the hot pockets were the super congested spots in the US, right? And I agree with you, Vandela, that, we all make mistakes. You make a decision, you make a mistake, right? A good leader is willing to learn from that mistake. And most importantly, look at best practices. Why did other countries do what they did, right? Yes, we've hurt the economy. Every country's hurt the economy. And I agree with you. The people that suffered the most are the ones that can't work remotely, right? But there are some countries that have demonstrated, specifically in the sectors of manufacturing and assembly and those kinds of things, that there is a way to work around that, right? And you can still get people to work safely. You can isolate people. They had to do things differently. And that's the most important thing, is to be able to do things differently and learn to deal with change. Change is inevitable, right? It's being able to tackle that change. So that's that. Yeah. Thank you for that time.
Absolutely. And there is one of the most sensitive issue that, we all have to actually talk about is also the racism and also the gender differences. So I really appreciate, all of you can just comment a few words on that, because how that one has changed, in many ways, especially during this 2020 election. Vandela, you want to go first? You want to take that?
Yes, I can.
Absolutely, please do.
I'm African American, and my husband and I have 2 African American boys. And as late as last week, I observed a racial incident. I was turning my son's uniform in. He's in ROTC. To the dry cleaners, and this lady in a white vehicle drove by and called the African American man a N-word because she was going wrong in the parking lot.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry to hear that.
The man looked at her and he looked at me, and we're like, is that what she just said? And I mean, you would think that in this day and time, 400 years later, we're still fighting the same issues.
Yes.
And it's just hatred on the part of some people. It's not all people. And I don't want to say it's the rotten apples that ruin the whole cart. These are people who refuse to accept other people regardless of their skin color. And that's just really the bottom line. So having 2 sons, I'm always fearful of them when they leave our home. And I'm a federal law enforcement retiree. So I have seen both sides. I have seen the side where I support law enforcement. And then while I was working, there are some things that I witnessed as a law enforcement officer that should not have occurred. So being in the position that I am as a former law enforcement officer, having now 2 children, I am very afraid. We have had those conversations with our son when they leave our home, when they go to work, when they're at school, how to behave. When you go to the store, make sure you get a bag and have the receipt in your hand. Don't walk out of the store without a bag. Always put your items in a bag. Make sure that when you go in the store that your face is visible. And now with masks, that creates a problem because you can't really, yes, exactly, misunderstandings. And so even with me, when I go to a store, I try and make sure that I'm not reacting in a manner that's going to alarm anyone. And because it's just, someone can accuse you of anything, and then you're going to spend the rest of your life, if it's ruined, trying to defend yourself or trying to defend your character. When it was just maybe a misunderstanding, something that you try to avoid, and it's unavoidable. And I have
actually have to
witnessed
face the consequences and deal with it for
and
a
face
very
it.
longest
Yes,
time period for no reason.
exactly. And that gentleman said, I have too much to lose. He said, I drove trucks for 45 years. I am now retired. He said, if it wasn't for my family, he said, it would be a different situation that you would have witnessed.
Okay. Well, I really, really, with all my heart, just do appreciate being so sharing a very personal experience here, because it's a very hurtful as
It
a
is.
person, regardless of the party or any of the color or any of those things. That's, as a human being itself, is a very demeaning and it's a disgraceful. So that kind of a behavior that, regardless of what party you belong to, is totally unacceptable. So I know that there is a big denial for that also, like, and I think that it was not accepted when we said that one, because they really don't think that that is actually going on. So before even I go to Mr. Ranjan, so I'm going to let Mr. Surya comment on this one. So I know that this one has been an issue that is going on in US, and lately it has been provoked by certain incidents as well, that we all know, that we don't have to even bring the details, because of that like several the riots happened, and then also the silent the movements happened. So what is your take on it? Like, do you really think that that's half the truth is there, or is this being accepted, or absolutely no? So what is your take on it?
As far as concerned to the COVID, what I say that because there is enough information available even on the social media, whereas like example, we come from a background from India and all. We take a lot of measures to control our health also. Of course.
Actually, so Mr. Surya, I think that you probably did not hear the question, that we are talking about the gender differences and also the racial discrimination that actually is happening. And so that she just explained, like, how hurtful that was for her experience, being the brown skin, and then being discriminated openly, and then they have to go through such a suffering, which was not accepted by the in certain statements of Mr. Trump. So that is what we are talking about. So I was actually looking for some of your comments on that.
I'm sorry, I don't want to comment on this question particularly, because I'm not much aware of very clearly or any kind of a detail. So it is better not to give any comment unless until if I know that very well. But only I want to give 2 comments on that, very important. India was suffering from the jihad problem for more than 800 years. This is related to the lot of economy too, but problems can be arise. Because, I was in the Gulf during the Iran-Iraq war with the Saddam Hussein and all. That is what, after seeing the insecurity, that's what we moved to the United States. Okay. Now, what is happening in the Europe, you see that. Now, India was always telling these things. This can paralyze the economy. This can bring out a lot of any problems in the society. Okay. And also there is the bottom line, America is one country, whether it's a democracy, whether we are all Americans. No, we have to face the major issue, because I don't know how many people are aware of that. And I was in the Gulf, I know that USSR during that time, Ronald Reagan, when USSR disintegrated, that's what the power came to the United States. Otherwise, it was the USSR. There are always between USSR and America, Third World War, and all those things happening. But when the USSR break it, then US started doing very well in the global economy, etc. And then again, now US is the one, whatever parties, whatever policies, now they built the China. Now China has become a giant again threat to the whole world. Now imagine today virus, tomorrow they might do anything. So now we have to work together. Doesn't matter. There is a difference of opinion. Fantastic. We need always critiquing. Again, nobody is right 100%, nobody is wrong 100%. All we have to work, all Americans together. If there are any issues are there, we have to figure it out. That is what you need, a strong leader. The only thing that Trump I respect because he's not a politician. He's a world over known how the politicians they work. They're always self-centric. They're not center-centric. Donald Trump, he don't need to do, but still he's doing a great job.
I think we do need a leader, if you ask me. So let me have Mr. Ranjan comment on that real quick, because I know that he was actually saying something about Vandala's answer. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Vandala, sorry that you had to experience what you experienced, because to me, I believe people forget something very quickly, which is America is a land of immigrants. We all came from
a melting
somewhere,
pot,
right?
Yes,
nobody's better than the other, right? Nobody's superior. No, that's one thing. It's very hard for me to accept racism, because if you walk into my living room on any given day pre-COVID, it felt like the United Nations, right? We have people of all colors, all races, all religions. We break bread with people that are Democrats, Republicans. We don't draw lines across anything, right? You could be gay, you could be, LGBTQ, doesn't matter. And I'll tell you a very eye-opening experience. I just attended a session that my oldest daughter spoke at in Fort Worth just a few weeks ago. And it was basically trying to get Fort Worth to open their mind to expand Fort Worth, right? For business, for tourism, for you name it. And as an 18-year-old, she blew me away. And what she spoke about was implicit bias. And we in America, and I think it goes beyond America, will never accept the fact that we have implicit bias.
Right.
And one of the things she said that'll stick with me, and I don't know why she didn't tell me this in the 18 years she lived in this house before she went to college, but she said, often people get their first thought when they start a conversation with someone, and then they let that form their opinion of that conversation. She said, stop that first thought, take it off your slate, go to your second thought, which is now an informed thought, because you've now interacted with this person, you've listened to what they have to say. It's not about any preconceived notions, and then allow that to build the framework that you're going to have this thing on, right? And that's so important. I absolutely detest any kind of hate rhetoric. Right. I'm very good friends with the gentleman that got shot in the face on 9/12 in Dallas, Texas, for one and only one reason, because he looked different. This is the man that then fought the Texas Supreme Court to try to get this gentleman who was on death row to be released and forgiven. He could never do that. But before the gentleman was executed, he came on national TV and he said, if there's one thing that this whole incident did, is it changed my perception of the world. And I have a brother now in this gentleman that I shot in the face. And this man has 48 fragments of bullets in his face to this day, right? He runs an organization called A World Without Hate. Wonderful guy. Goes out, speaks to a lot of different people. And to me, a world without hate is where we need to get to. And that is race. It's, gender equality. I'm a father of 2 daughters, right? And when somebody tells my daughters they can't do something, I have empowered them to go show the world they can do it. right? I've told them leadership is something that you're born with. Management is something that you're taught. I said, and one thing I'll tell you is you're both leaders, go be leaders. That's the most important thing anybody can do, irrespective of who they are, what they are, right? So I think that any kind of hate-based, rhetoric has to just go. We really have to heal this nation. I don't care who the president is. We have to heal this nation. If we don't heal this nation, it's a disaster. I worked as a poll greeter and a poll watcher today. It's a sad state out there. It is a very sad state. What I saw today was disgusting.
Well, I think this is a very valuable discussion that we had, like, with the open-mindedness, and then so I'm going to let. So I think that before we even move forward, like, Ranjan, do we have any results? Like, do you know where we stand as far as the announcement goes right now? Or let's see. So yeah, if you go ahead and announce it, like, if you know already. Colorado. Do you, I think we do. I can see the same one, that I don't have any further developments that is showing on up for me so far. I think so. That's why. So well, before we close down, and it was a great conversation, great panel, and I really appreciate everyone who came and then shared their, like, a valuable time, thoughts, as well as, the views, perceptions, and it's really, really helpful. Like, whatever that decisions that we made to go forward to choose whoever, that we just want to wish the best for the country, and then best for our children and also their future. So I think let's keep that in mind before we make any decision. So I'm going to let Ranjan and also Mr. Surya and then Mandela give you 1 minute to do the wrap up, like, the closing remarks before we leave. Go ahead.
First of all, God bless everybody. God bless America. This is one of the finest country on the whole planet. We are blessed to be in this country.
Yes.
All I can say that we all Americans are brothers, sisters.
Absolutely.
Let's work together.
Yes.
Okay. Let's not abuse criticism or anything. Let's critiquing process. Okay. If there is a gap, we will fill it. Only thing, if all Americans work together, this will be one of the finest nation, and it will be a nation of the planet.
Absolutely.
Every human being, this is the greatest country on the whole planet. That is what I wish, I bless, and I really, I can say namaskar, in our as a Hindu. As a human, I mean, we have to see, America is not for America. If America is a weakened, whole world is weakened. There are devils available there. Mahabharata and Pandav, always there's a Mahabharata Yuddha. The Kaurav population is always more. And this is only the way, when America is strongest country, whole world is safe. That is what I wish everybody work together. There are difference of opinion. There are a lot of gaps are there. Let's we all intellect people come from other country. We are what we can do for America rather than what America is doing for me. That's what I tell my children too.
Right.
Think what you can do.
Right.
The moment every American think what I can do for the country, trust me, every problem will be resolved.
Correct. Absolutely.
As Ranjan Mishra said, he's a great knowledgeable in many areas. I'm pretty sure you agree on that. Let's work together.
Yes.
We have a difference of opinion, like wife and husband. We have a Tom and Jerry fight every day, but we love each other.
Totally.
The same thing, we are Americans. We must love this country. We all, doesn't matter Democratic, Republican, whoever it is. We are, bottom line, we are Americans, brothers and sisters. That is what only I wish good luck to all the country and the whole world. Let's come out from this COVID. Let's do bring back to one of the principles and the God under the Jesus Bible God principle. This country always they believe in that. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Ranjan, you want to go next quickly? I think you we go ahead and unmute. I think we have a muted microphone for you. Okay,
Now, I
go
was
ahead.
going to say, let Vandela go, please.
All right, go ahead, Vanilla. Absolutely.
Thank
Love
you
to
for
hear.
the opportunity. I try to live by the mantra, be the change that you want to see.
Absolutely. Oh, wow,
I
that's really cool. Yes.
volunteer a lot in my community, and
Yes.
I give of my time and experience to those organizations who are living by their mission and changing lives. And until we can start supporting each other and putting people over party, change isn't going to come in the manner that we would like it to. And until we do that and start thinking about people, the best thing that I can do is continue to change the lives that I have the opportunity to impact. And I have a very diverse group of friends around me, and I have learned a lot about different cultures. And when everything kind of started, the hateful talk, and when it was really getting really bad, I appreciate my friends asking me, what can I do? What have I done? Have I ever offended you? What can I do to help my other friends? Because they felt comfortable in coming to me and asking me questions that I was able to assist them. And until we can come together and have a civil conversation and not see ourselves as red and blue, or the donkey and the elephant, we just have to figure out what we have in common, because we would determine that we have more in common than we don't have in common. I have a lot of friends that are Democrats, Republican, Independent, and I don't let their religious or political beliefs determine our friendship. So that's a challenge for some people, and we have to figure out how we can tone down the hate, tone down the rhetoric, and try and have a conversation as to how we can come together. It can start by cleaning the street, adopting the street, meeting to pick up paper, and just doing something where you can all come together and have a common goal. And that's where the conversation and the change actually begins. So I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to be a part of this conversation. And before I forget, I'm volunteering with. I'm changing the subject. I'm volunteering with an organization called America Helping Veterans. It's a nonprofit organization that their primarily mission is to help homeless veterans, and we're having a fundraiser this Friday evening or afternoon starting at 3:30. A friend of mine and I are co-hosting. We're the Malcolm and Vandela Show. It's a free service that we provide to the city, to the community of Grand Prairie. The fundraiser it's $20 admission in advance, $25 at the door. Food is included. And it's just a fundraiser that they have every year to help homeless veterans throughout the year. And the gentleman that started the organization, they're actually disabled veterans, and they utilize a lot of their money when they first started and continue to ensure that their mission is being fulfilled. There are so many homeless veterans that are in the community that people have no idea as to where they are. Last Saturday, I had an opportunity to go and meet the Grand Prairie Homeless Outreach, organization, and they were telling me that there's about 5 veterans that they know that are living in the woods, in their cars, under bridges. And these are people that have voluntarily served
For the
to
goodness of the
for the
country.
goodness of others. Yes. So
Yes.
I was honored to be a part of this. So if you would like to attend, please contact me. The event starts at 3:30. We're hosting until 5 o'clock, and then from 5:30 until 10 o'clock, there's a live band, and they have raffle prizes throughout the night. But it's going to be a great event. We have so many great people that are planning to attend. I think right now our veterans that are attending is probably at about 75 right now. It's not the homeless veterans, it's veterans that have came from the community to support the event. So thank you again, Anu, for the opportunity. Absolutely. And the 2 gentlemen that is on this conversation. I appreciate everything that you guys do. It's the leaders, the people that are on this Zoom or whatever the StreamYard is right now. We're the people that could be the change makers. We just have to decide how and when we can effectuate the change. That's all I have. Thank you.
Totally. And thank you so much.
I want to just add one thing. She spoke so well. She spoke from the heart. God bless you, man. Trust me. She spoke
Thank
from
you
your
very
heart.
much.
You know what? One God did one good thing, and I've seen from 4 decades. I've been to more than 30 countries. Now the social media is Corona is a blessing. Trust me. There's so many changes happening in the world. No more media domination. Every common man knows on the cell phone what's going on around the world or around your corner. So common man able to take the power, the decision, the challenge, and the fight.
That's right.
So that is the beauty. It's a God-given. Corona is a God-given. Trust me.
Yes.
Out of every adversity, has an equal or more seed of an opportunity.
Right.
World faced many challenges. First World War, Second World War, many pandemics, and this will bringing out the best. Whole American will be united. Just watch it.
Absolutely. Well,
we are united again.
Yes.
It will be the #1 country. Let's do only thing what I can do for the country. Anything, smaller thing, doesn't matter.
Right.
That's what I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such an inspirational, the comment. Absolutely appreciate it. So, Ranjan, I think I'm going to hand it over to you for the closing.
So again, thank you. It's for organizing this, and I agree with exactly what both Surya and Vandela said. Surya said that we need to come together as one America, right?
Absolutely.
If you look at the dollar bill, it says it right there. E pluribus unum, right?
Everything is united.
Exactly. So we've got to come together as a country and really put. It's interesting what we can learn from various scriptures, and just as Vandela said, the famous words of Mahatma Gandhi: "Be the change you want to see." Right?
Absolutely.
And if you don't walk in the shoes of the people that you're trying to help, you'll never be able to help them. It's just as simple as that. If you don't go interact with these veterans and understand what their challenges are, you can't help them sitting in an ivory tower, right? So It's really important that we get out. I do something on, and I do a lot of mentoring as well of students, of young startup companies, and that's because I feel it's my time in life to help others, because the world has been good to me and my family, and so I practice hope every day, and hope is helping one person each day, right? And it doesn't matter what you do. Change a tire, help somebody across the street, help somebody make a decision. You're at Costco. They asked a Costco employee who doesn't know where something is, you do, tell them where it is, right? Save them the time and effort. So practice hope every day. But I think it's really important that we come together as a country and we really start doing things to lift this country up. This country has so much to offer, not just to the citizens of this country, but to the world, right? we're blessed. We have a lot of wealth in this country. As a nation, we have a lot of resources, and we need to get to the point where we can share those, right? And really be able to make an impact. And then the only thing I'll say in closing is that it's not about black, white, Republican, Democrat. It's none of that, right? Everybody just needs to come and collectively work towards solutions, and we can solve this. We're all smart people, right?
Correct. Oh, absolutely. Sure.
And I agree. Everything happens for a reason. This pandemic happened for a reason, and we might not see it today, but it always happens for a good reason. If we believe that, we'll get there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ranjan. That was a very, very positive, input. And so, like I said, that, all Americans, like what we should refer to us as, like, because we all are registered voters, and we are not only, the just electing our president, but also, like, we are deciding many, is this like a 435, I believe, right, in totals, like, the Senate and governorship, everything together. So I think we just made our decision, and then I think we are just going to be waiting for the final verdict. And let's hope and pray that, what we have done will bring us the good results for the good future of the country, as well as our family and then our children. So with that, let's close this panel. And again, I would like to thank everyone today for joining and giving your valuable time. So let's wait and see, like, what happens, and eagerly, and like, I'm sure that we all are curious what's going to happen. So let's wait until tomorrow morning, and hopefully we'll get at least the 70% of the results.
You have done a fabulous job.
You have.
It's a woman power.
Yes.
21st century.
My pleasure, Mr. Surya. My pleasure, and absolutely anytime. And it definitely gives me, like, a more confidence that, working with the experts like all of you, so that it gives me a really blessing.
Only utilize. I never use anybody. I only utilize the resources. Every human is a blessed. That's what in Bhagavad Gita says, Atma Paramatma,
Right.
we are all souls. So we are all powerful people. God bless people. Let's utilize the sources. And like Ranjan Mishra, I'm telling you, congratulations, proud of you. God bless you.
So yeah, everybody is like a treasure of
great knowledge. I'm really proud of all you guys. God bless. And good night. Let's hope and enjoy whatever results.
Let's wish for good luck, and then let's hope for the best, and let's call it a night, guys, and then definitely we will meet again once the results comes out. So
thank you. Good night.
Let's keep working. Thank you so much.
God bless America.
Yes,
Anu,
Mandela.
can you share my contact information with them, please?
Absolutely, I will share it. I will share with everyone. How about that?
Same thing, Ranjan. Please, have our details, and we can coordinate each other.
My pleasure. Definitely will share it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, everyone.
And one
Have a
other
good
thing,
night.
Mandela, can you share?
Yes, I'm here.
If you
I think, hold on, guys. Just give me 1 second. We're still live.
Oh, sorry.